Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Holding down the middle of the day.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is On Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Wednesday. Hope your work week is moving right along. We're getting towards the back half here, working towards the weekend. Glad to be with you here for the next 2 hours. Taylor Sharp, Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. Just chatting with Taylor about this little sweet spot in the year that we have for local sports where, yeah, football's the greatest content driver in the fall. We get that. But there's a small part of the spring where you've got baseball and you've got basketball and you got football. And we're currently in that spot because football is in school. They report to practice tomorrow. So we've got all three to cover here over the next couple of hours. And you would say to yourself, well, Hunt, I think baseball should be the lead. They have a game today. They're number one in the country. Everybody's excited. That's where you should start. You might say football drives the bus. You need to start with football. That's what everyone wants to hear, as Taylor nods over there behind the production computers. But I'm not going to do either one of those things. I'm going to lead with basketball. And you would go on, why would you lead with basketball? That is a hellacious idea. Well, they do have a game tonight. It is the conference tournament. It's March. And I'm prepared to do something that you probably didn't expect when you turned on the radio dial or fired up YouTube or whatever you may have done to access us here today. I'm guaranteeing a victory for LSU tonight in basketball. Guaranteeing the victory. Call me Joe Willie. Who else is guaranteed a victory? Probably a lot of people over the years. I'm doing it right now. LSU's going to win tonight. Georgia is awful. And I just heard you all scream back at me via your radio that, well, LSU's awful too. Well, be that as it may, the Tigers, as the 14th seed in the league, are not a Final Four caliber squad at the moment. I'm well aware of that. But have you paid attention to Georgia recently? I already know the answer to that. It's no, you haven't paid attention to Georgia recently. Your probably only answer back to that is, well, I watched them play LSU a couple of weeks ago and they won. Well, that's true. They did. Since that day, when LSU went to Athens and got beat, basically a buzzer beater, LSU scored with 11 seconds to go and Georgia came down and scored with 3 seconds to play and won. Here's what the Georgia Bulldogs have been able to accomplish on the hardwood. They went to Tuscaloosa and played Alabama. Your final score, 108-59. That, of course, a 49-point defeat the Bulldogs suffered. Yeah, Bama's good. Okay. Probably shouldn't have lost by 49, but it happens. Then they went to Fayetteville to play the Arkansas Razorbacks. And they lost 97-65. They lost by 32 points. Well, then you take a deep breath. You come home to the warm confines of Stegman Coliseum to play Missouri. Final score from Athens, 85-63 Missouri. Georgia lost by 22. Then they went on the road to play Florida, and you think, oh, okay, well, they lost Colin Castleton. They've lost a couple of games in a row. This Florida team's not all that good. Your final score, 77-67 Gators. Georgia loses by 10. And finally, you play the regular season finale with a team you could argue is the worst team in the league. You'd probably lose the argument considering they came to Baton Rouge and put a whooping on LSU. But South Carolina, not a great team this year. Not great. Maybe a chance for Georgia there, even though it's on the road, to get a win. No, they scored 55 points in that game and lost 61-55. The only redeeming quality that Mike White's Georgia Bulldogs have exhibited over the last 2.5 weeks is that they continue to lose by fewer points as time goes on. They went from a 49-point loss to a 32-point loss to a 22-point loss to a 10-point loss to a 6-point loss, but they've lost 5 in a row by an average of 23.8 points. They're not good. LSU's going to win tonight. Let me tell you more about these Georgia Bulldogs and why LSU's going to win. Georgia is 270th in the country in offensive efficiency. That is not very good. And you would say, oh, well, look at these stats. These are towards the top of all of college basketball. The percentage of their points that they score from the free throw line, they're 6th in the country. Only 5 teams better. Free throw attempts per game, they're 22nd in the nation. That's some big-time stuff. So you would suggest, man, they're really good from the free throw line. And I would say, no, they're okay from the free throw line. The reason that they're 6th in the country in percentage of points they score on free throws is because their 2-point shooting percentage this year is 303rd in the country. Their 3-point shooting percentage this year is 307th. Anything you do in college basketball that puts you in the 300s is atrocious. Georgia is that on offense. On defense, they're 193rd in defensive efficiency. They're 265th in defensive rebounding percentage. They don't even get on the glass all that great. And I can hear you. You're all doubting me. You're all saying, Hunt, you're a lunatic. This team just went 2-16, LSU. How could you possibly predict them to beat anyone? Well, I'll tell you that LSU's biggest bugaboo over the last 3 weeks, and there have been plenty of bugaboos along the way. I don't mean to single out one, but I'm going to single out one in the last few weeks, has been turnovers. LSU statistically has matched up very well and even had some advantages against some of the teams over the last couple of weeks. They turned the ball over at an insane clip. And Georgia doesn't really force turnovers. 253rd in the country in opponents' turnovers per possession. 7 times in SEC games this year, they forced single-digit turnovers. And when LSU went to Athens, the Tigers managed to turn the ball over 19 times. Now, if I was the lesser man, lesser guy, I would come on here and say that I guarantee LSU will win if they don't turn it over 16, 17, 18, 19 times. But I'm not going to do that. I did want you to be aware of that. Just a little bit of a caveat. But I'm just going to tell you LSU's going to win tonight. Got to guard Terry Roberts, 6'3 senior guard. Got to guard Cario Quindo, 6'4 junior guard, averages 12 a game. You got to guard those guys. It'd be nice if KJ made some shots. He didn't make a 3 in Athens. He's pretty good. Don't turn it over. Get KJ some shots. LSU will win tonight. I feel like there's something, I should put something on the line for this that I'm coming out with. Do I need to sing the Georgia fight song tomorrow if LSU loses this game? Is that something I should look into? I think there's got to be some sort of penalty if I come out with something and guarantee it. Some of you may go put your hard-earned cash on the line because of I've been picking SEC games at a 52% rate over the last month. If you can't count on that, what can you count on? I might sing the Georgia fight song if LSU were to lose tonight. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about that because I've already guaranteed you that LSU will win the game based on laying out all of Georgia's hellacious metrics and laying out none of the bad LSU metrics. You notice that? Because that's not relevant. We don't need to talk about that. You're all aware of it. My job here as a radio host is to inform. You already know all of LSU's metrics. I'm trying to tell you about Georgia's and kind of leave the other stuff off to the side. That's what we've decided to do here on this Wednesday. LSU and Georgia, 8:30 tonight from Nashville. Put it in the bank. Tigers are moving on to the Thursday portion of the SEC tournament. I think they may win by double digits, quite frankly. No chance I'll be proven wrong on this, right? We'll move on to some other sports here on this Wednesday. Just a little bit of tongue-in-cheek there. I do think LSU's going to win tonight. But I thought I'd have a little bit of fun in the opening segment with this basketball team while they're still playing some hoops. And that could be over here in the next 8-9 hours. So we shall see. It's a What If Wednesday. We'll have What If Wednesday coming up at 1:30. Got some baseball flavor to that. Got some NFL flavor to that as well. We do have LSU spring football firing up tomorrow, 7:55 a.m. They'll let us in and let us watch about 20 minutes of likely guys running through cones and maybe hitting some bags and lightly tossing footballs. We'll check that out. But I want to get into the offensive line that LSU will bring to bear this spring, as well as the wide receiver group, which had some shakeup, obviously, since last season. So offensive line and wide receiver yesterday, we did a lot on the defensive line and the linebackers. I wanted to switch sides of the ball, talk about two other position groups. So we'll do that in the 2 o'clock hour. Chris Demui with us each and every Wednesday talking baseball. Former Tiger left-hander will be with us coming up at 2:30, talking about what he saw over the weekend and kind of what he expects to see tonight between LSU and Lamar. And speaking of former Tigers, we're glad to welcome to the program. We will do that next. Former Tiger Will Davis, who spent some years playing here at the LSU and then was an assistant under Paul Maneri, now the head coach at Lamar. His team is playing great baseball right now, and we'll welcome Will to the show when we come back. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
What a good day to finally be out of the office. Is that this? A Skag mower. Okay, living the good life I see. Not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. It's just like driving a throne. It's gorgeous. A beautiful piece of machinery right there.
The moment you know you want a Skag. Skag. Simply the best.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call Hudco Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents.
Don't miss the latest from the Louisiana High School Boys Basketball State Tournament as 3-seed Catholic High takes on 2-seed St. Thomas More in the Select Division I semifinal this Wednesday at 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Those who want to totally disregard my basketball open that we just gave you and don't care about watching LSU and Georgia tonight from Nashville, there's a pretty big one over at Alec Box Stadium between a couple teams with some salty records. Lamar coming in 10-2. Will Davis, head coach of the Lamar Cardinals, former LSU staffer for 8 years now in year 7 over at Lamar, joins the show. Mr. Davis, how are you, sir?
Doing good, Hunt. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So coming over from Beaumont, are we near Crowley, Jennings, Scott, Iowa? Where are we en route here?
I love your Louisiana geographical knowledge. I also take a lot of pride in that. This might be one place that I can't pronounce, which is a shame on me for that. But Lacassine, is that how you say it?
I think that sounds right. I can see it. Like I can see the spelling, but I've
only seen the sign. I've never heard anyone say it. So
excellent
chime
work
in the chat and help me out. No.
Y'all will be here very soon. Your team's off to an awesome start at 10-2. You got a win over Texas A&M, a win over Kansas State. Would you expect a fast start from this club after a really strong season last year?
Yeah, I mean, we thought we had a pretty solid team. Obviously I'd be lying to you if we thought we'd beat. We played A&M in the fall and they beat us 21-8. So they had 8 home runs. So we didn't know it was going to go that way, but it was. We knew we wouldn't be afraid, I guess, and so we knew we maybe would have a chance. And we just played really solid baseball all the way through. Our pitchers have done a great job pounding the strike zone, and we played really sound defense. And we've been tough outs. We've had some huge clutch hits as well.
I see a lot of low-scoring games and a lot of close wins. I mean, I look back to y'all's season opening weekend against Oakland, 6-5 win in 10 innings, a 3-2 win, then a 5-4 win. And then you go back to Kansas State later that week, and it's another 4-3 tight ball game. What does that do for your team when early on you're faced with tight situations and you're able to get close wins?
I think it does a lot, and what it does is it makes you call on a lot of different guys out of the bullpen in tight spots, and so they have to prove themselves. And we lost the best closer in school history, Jack Dallas, last year, and so replacing him was going to be probably our biggest task. And we've had a number of guys step up and do that. And getting those tough opportunities. We've had a lot of clutch pitching and a lot of second and third one out and getting out of it, and it's great to see that so early in the year against good competition, because that it'll bode well for you in the future.
Seeing some tough competition tonight. LSU ranked number 1 in the country. I know that you coached under Paul Maneri and kind of take some things from people that they've worked for and with over the years. We know Paul used to chop these midweek games up and use a lot of different arms. You mentioned that in your last answer, that you've had to go to a lot of different guys throughout early season. Should we expect to see a lot of different guys tonight? Or are you going to give the ball to somebody and see how far they can take you?
We're not in conference yet. So, I mean, a Wednesday is the same as a Friday right now. So it's not like we're worried about burning up too much pitching. I mean, we do have 3 games this weekend that we want to potentially win some of those. We're not going to necessarily script it out. Quinn Waterhouse will start. He started against A&M, gave us 3. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's not like I can't imagine him going 6 or 7, but we do have a fully stocked bullpen. Not playing yesterday, so we have the option if we want it. Let me just say that, but it's not going to be a one inning scripted thing like Paul used to do in the midweeks.
I'm told Dylan Cruz, Tommy White, Jay Johnson, they all listen religiously to this show every single day, especially on a game day, so they're probably locked in. So I don't want you to give away the scouting report on Waterhouse, but what can you tell us about your starting pitcher tonight?
Well, he's a veteran guy. He's a transfer from SIU Edwardsville, and it's a 3-pitch mix for him. And like I said, he's not afraid. He went out there against A&M, set the tone for us early. He did give a couple runs in the third, but never really wavered. Never lost it. Just kept attacking, and he's done a really good job for us. So I mean, he's probably 87 to 90, mid to upper 80s, touch 90. Big tall kid. So it's nice to have guys like that when he's started in his career against Missouri and when he was at SIU Edwardsville and some other places like other schools like that. So I don't think the moment will be too big for him. So that's half the battle when you're playing a team like LSU, obviously.
Obviously, y'all went to Texas A&M and got a big 7-4 win back on February the 21st. With the warm weather and the expectations, LSU has actually drawn really well in the midweek early on. Do you think that win at Bluebell Park, in terms of preparing for an environment, will help your guys?
I think so, Hunt. I think, just doing that is, we've kind of done this already. Now LSU's number one, but like I said, we're not going to be afraid. They're obviously going to be a very tough team to stop, but it won't be because of nerves or a lack of preparedness or belief on our side. So that gives you a lot of confidence as a coach, because when I first got to Lamar, that was not the case. We would come in and do some things that were out of sorts when we get these big stadiums like this, but we've got it kind of rocking and rolling right now, so I'm excited to see what we can do.
Chatting with Will Davis, Lamar head coach, Lamar and LSU tonight at the box, 6:30. Will, of course, spent 8 years on staff with Paul Maneri, and we're thrilled to have him back here in Baton Rouge this evening. You've seen championship teams at LSU. When you look at this team on film, does it stack up?
I would say so, other than the fact that the rules have changed. If this was 2013, I'm telling you, this team's going to be, really hard to beat. And then they are going to be really hard to beat. But I don't know. Tennessee might have the same thing. With this transfer portal and just the ability to cover up your misses in recruiting is the biggest thing. Back in the day, you're projecting high school and junior college kids. They show up, and you don't 100% know what you're going to get. There ain't a lot of projection on Thatcher Hurd, Paul Skeens, and Tommy White. You pretty much know after one Division I season or a couple Division I seasons what you're going to get. So, obviously they had a great team last year, and they just filled it in some of the holes, if there were holes, with even better players. So, I think they can certainly be one of the teams holding the trophy at the end. And but it's crazy what it's come to in college baseball, how good some of these teams have gotten.
Well, that was going to be my next question for you. As the head coach at Lamar in the Southland Conference, in a really fertile recruiting area of the country, obviously, we know our perspective is you go get Thatcher Hurd and Christian Little and Tommy White, and that's how the transfer portal works for LSU. How does it work for you as far as guys looking to leave your program and then guys trying to come into your program?
It's a little harder. Obviously, we've lost some guys. Like, we've lost our Friday night starter the last 2 years to Oklahoma. And our Friday night guy from last year is the Sunday guy now at Oklahoma. And our Friday night guy the year before was All-American closer Trevin Michael.
Yep.
For them. So we've lost arms to Texas, West Virginia, Houston. It's been a tough go on that end. But we've kind of had to try to find those little diamonds in the rough. Maybe, like our Friday night starter, Brooks Capel, is a transfer from Stephen F. Austin, who had a 5 or a 6 ERA last year, but because he was in our conference, we knew what he was capable of. And so he didn't really have any big schools on, a lot of mid-majors, and he's just really blossomed since he got over here. So our shortstop, Kane Dodge, same thing. He had 300 at SFA last year, but got hurt. He's stepped right in for us and been our starting shortstop from day one. So you just got to kind of get creative. You can sit there and you can cry about it, or you can pivot and make it work, for you. So that's what we've tried to do.
As the saying goes, Scott Van Pelt said this once upon a time, and I just kind of took it to heart. We're all from somewhere, and this is a home for you. What is it like to come back and play in the box and have your team play out and compete in the box when you come back?
Yeah, it's a little weird. Just having coached so many games on the other side in that stadium, it's great to see. Like, everybody makes a lot of my friends making a point to come. Obviously, this game and Baton Rouge will always be home. I don't really see too much of Baton Rouge, on this day, but
sure.
it's a little weird for me, but I think, once they play ball, like as far as the trying to win and all that stuff, it doesn't really mean anything to me any more than like, say, beating an A&M would, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine it would feel any different than that, really. I mean, there's no like, I got to beat my old school or anything like that, I mean, if you beat top 10 teams, that's a huge day for you. I mean, so, in that aspect, it's a great experience for our guys. It's a great test for our guys, and it'll only make us better going forward. And that's really what we're trying to get out of it. And, if we were fortunate enough to win, it would just, the coolest part would be beating the number one team in the country, not necessarily beating LSU for me.
Well, I check the scores every weekend, and y'all are off to a really, really good start, pulling for you. Y'all be safe coming over here. Best of luck tonight and the rest of the way. Thanks, Will.
Always a pleasure, man. We go way back, and glad to see you back on this side of it where you belong, and doing great, man.
I appreciate it, Will. Y'all be safe, man.
Thanks. Yeah.
That is Will Davis, Lamar University head coach. Will was Paul Maneri's kind of right-hand man for a lot of that great run that LSU had, and Lamar kind of handpicked him to come in and coach as an assistant under Coach Gillikin for the last year there at Lamar. He had a legendary long run at Lamar, and Will was kind of handed the keys to that program after, and has just done a really, really good job. As he mentioned there, coaching at a school like Lamar in the Southland Conference, the challenges the transfer portal presents are the exact reason why I told you when I saw what happened in year one with baseball, I said, look, this is going to be a huge win for LSU, this transfer portal thing. You may like it, you may hate it as a college sports fan, but LSU's baseball team is going to massively capitalize because there are only 10 or 12 places you can go, maybe not even that many, that can offer you what LSU can. In football, there are a lot more. And you've basically reduced this entire sport down to one little region. So Thatcher Hurd's going to leave UCLA to come here. Tommy White's going to leave NC State to come here. Jacob Berry's going to leave Arizona to come here. Like, that's a huge positive for LSU. On the flip side, as he's just talking about, 2 years in a row, he goes in, recruits, and brings in a Friday night starter for his baseball program, and Oklahoma goes, I'll take him. Come on. And there's nothing you can do. But he continues to restock the shelves. He's done such a good job there at Lamar. And as I mentioned, they're off to a 10-2 start. Wins over A&M and a Kansas State team that LSU beat. So they're playing really good baseball, and they should come in and play a sound game tonight, I would think. They're a team that's won some really low-scoring games. They beat Penn 3-1. They beat Houston Christian 4-3 and 10. They beat Stephen F. Austin 2-1. Beat Kansas State 4-3. Beat Oakland 3-2. Beat Oakland 5-4. They have been in pitching and defense games. And that's what they're going to hang their hat on. You come in with your midweek staff against this LSU lineup, the odds are going to be stacked against you a little bit. But they, as he mentioned, they shouldn't be scared, and they're going to play solidly on the defensive side of the ball and pitching. We'll see if they can scratch out enough hits tonight if they're Lamar. But the Tigers are going to be a tough matchup for the Cardinals and Will Davis. We certainly appreciate his time very, very much. We'll take a time out when we come back. It is a What If Wednesday. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Sky, I've got that sunshine.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Water.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me?
On Thursdays, OTB LSU spring football gets underway. Plus, did the Pelicans finally manage to not break you? Jake breaks down a little March Madness. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU spring football talk on the offensive side of the football coming up at 2 o'clock. I'll give you my thoughts on LSU's offensive line as well as the wide receivers at 2:15. Looking forward to that. We'll be out on the Ponderosa tomorrow just before 8 a.m. getting a look at the Tigers for the first time this spring. Certainly we'll update you on that as we come back tomorrow for a Thursday show. So looking forward to it. But tomorrow's Thursday. That means today would be Wednesday. That means it's time for What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
All right, Hunt, kicking off What If Wednesday with your favorite sport, baseball. What if Grant Taylor didn't get hurt?
The word was that he very well may have started on Saturday, the first weekend. Now, that may have been the case. I think they're trying to shuffle this thing where the cream kind of rises and it becomes Skeens, Hurd, Floyd. And I think Grant Taylor was going to be in the back end of the bullpen, kind of in the mold that Christian Little is right now. And what it means is, assuming that he was going to throw the ball exceptionally well the way he did in the summer last year and in the fall and in the weeks leading up to the season before his elbow went, that he would have been kind of the back end guy, and you would have just put Little in front of him, which is, it's frightening to kind of think about what that could have been like with Taylor and Little and Ackenhausen and some of those guys in the back end of the pen. You could add Chase Shores to that potentially down the line. You could add Griffin Herring to that down the line. Riley Cooper. I mean, the staff would be incredibly deep, and it's still deep. It's still a deep staff. They have options. But Taylor, I think, would have been the second best swing and miss guy, and if Hurd progresses like he did yesterday, or I guess that was on Monday, maybe he's second in terms of swing and miss. But Taylor's strikeout stuff is elite, and I think that's what makes him profile as a back end of the bullpen guy. That and the delivery is a little bit clunky for me, which is fine in the bullpen, but just not over 7 innings of pitching. That's a tough delivery to repeat. So it hurts for sure. If he doesn't get hurt, he's a big piece of the pitching staff, but such is life. He's going to miss the year.
What if you got one swing on 17 at TPC Sawgrass this week?
Do I have all the crowd? Are they all watching?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pressure's on.
About 3 years ago, I would have told you I'm definitely hitting the green. It's 137. That's a wedge. And that's, back when I was playing a lot of golf, that was a pretty routine shot. I don't play golf really anymore, unfortunately. I don't like my odds these days of hitting the shot from 137 with all those people watching. Maybe we need to get the get the bar tab elevated a little bit, get a little liquid courage going, a little swing lube in the old system, and that might help a touch. But I don't like my odds right now at hitting the green from 137 with the crowd out there. I just don't play golf enough, so I don't like the odds. That's unfortunate to say, but it's the reality of the situation.
What if the Atlanta Falcons end up getting Lamar Jackson?
I heard T-Bob rant about this morning, that he doesn't know what they're doing waiting on it. You got to potentially give up two first-rounders and $40 million. I think in the same way that the Saints become the NFC South favorite with getting David Carr, I think Derek Carr, I think that the Falcons would become the favorite with Lamar. I mean, the Falcons were laughed at in August of last year. We did that little deal where we looked at the position preview, and they were between 25 and 32 on every position across the board, no talent whatsoever. And they outperformed that. They ran it pretty well for a team that we didn't think had a running back. The defense was maybe a little bit better than we thought, and they still didn't get very good quarterback play, so much so that they just punted on Marcus Mariota at the end and let Ritter play. So you put that MVP level quarterback in his mid-20s on that team in a bad division, I think they would be the favorites to win the division. I'm curious to see how this plays out with Lamar. I think it's obvious that everybody understands kind of what the Ravens are doing. They're not going to jump to that astronomical guaranteed number that the Browns forked up. And so because of that, they're just going to let the market dictate to Lamar what they're willing to pay. And then the Ravens are just sitting there with a trump card going, well, we can top that no matter what. Just let's see what you got. So it makes a lot of sense, but if the Falcons were to get aggressive and go up there and make it happen, and the Ravens did prioritize these 2 draft picks, which, by the way, Rex Ryan is adamant, having spent really good years in that organization. He's like, there's no guarantee they're going to bring Lamar back. If they feel like offloading that salary and getting 2 first-round picks is a better thing for that organization with the confidence that they've got, they may do it. So he knows people over there. We'll see. But I think the Falcons, to answer the question, would be the favorites to win the NFC South if they got Lamar Jackson.
All right, sticking with football here for a little bit. What if Brian Kelly doesn't take the LSU job?
So Lincoln was out of the picture, and Napier was out of the picture, and I don't know that Napier was ever really considered. In fact, I'm confident that he wasn't. But at that point, I don't really know where Scott Woodward would have looked. Some of it was really unappealing to me. I didn't like the Mark Stoops angle. I feel like he's a blue-collar, develop the 3-star, keep him 5 years type guy, and that really has done a good job at Kentucky. Do I think it's going to go head-to-head with Nick Saban every year where I need him to, and then go beat Kirby Smart in a game that matters, and then go beat Clemson or Ohio State? I got some serious questions about that. So I honestly don't have. I mean, the point of this segment would be for me to answer the question. The only name that I thought got a little bit of traction that's not Riley, Napier, and then Kelly at the end, and then obviously Mel Tucker was Stoops. None of that sounds very good to me, quite frankly. I mean, what do you think? You were sitting here for that.
I don't know. I mean, he always goes after a big name guy. I mean, I wouldn't have loved it, but I don't know, maybe a Mario Cristobal. He didn't take the Miami job till after Kelly got hired. Luke Fickell, maybe. I mean, he was a hot name. He didn't take a job till this year.
He was looking at the Midwest.
Maybe those two guys. I mean, I don't know. Kiffin, maybe, but
I don't. Oh man,
I wouldn't. I don't think that would have been his move. But
I don't either. But it's fascinating to think about.
Speaking of hiring, what if McNeese hires Will Wade?
This feels like it's very possible. The reports in the last 20 minutes all over Twitter, like literally since we've been on the air, are that Ole Miss is basically zeroing in on Chris Beard. And you're hearing words like due diligence and final stages and top target and all that kind of stuff. And it feels like Ole Miss is going to take on Chris Beard. And that was kind of where Will Wade was looking, I think. But if he wants to get back in and he feels like that show cause is not coming, McNeese would be brilliant to hire Will Wade. You would put some eyeballs in your program, which is difficult to come by. And I think he would win at a very high level, which he's done everywhere he's ever gone. And so I think Will wants to get back into the game quickly. I think that it may be okay with him if the eyeballs aren't all fixated on him, because let's be quite honest, in December of next year when McNeese is 4-5, is anybody going to care where Will Wade's coaching? I don't think so. And then if you can turn that thing around in year 2 or 3 with a transfer portal and the way that he's able to recruit and identify guys, I think the next job comes calling, and when the SEC comes open. So I think there's a real good chance that Will Wade becomes the next head coach at McNeese. That feels like it could be coming pretty quickly here. We go into the Bayou Ford chat and look into some other what if. Stephen Miller says, what if a strong-ass offer was never recorded on tape? If that phone's never tapped, Will Wade's still the coach here. That was not – the NCAA had zero to do with Will Wade getting fired. The FBI had everything to do with it because the NCAA wasn't going to get the access to phone records and to actual phone conversations until the FBI came in there and started putting people in jail. And so if you want to tell me that Will Wade was sloppy and he was breaking the rules and he was brazen and he was a stain on LSU and you want to do all that and you want to talk about all that, I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong. Like, you can have your opinions on the Will Wade era in Baton Rouge. I can just tell you from my perspective, which I will have, that I loved it when he was the coach here. I loved that LSU had top flight talent. I loved that we were as good as anybody in the SEC over a 4-year run. I loved we were in the tournament every year, and I loved that we won the conference, and I thought it was awesome. So I'm disappointed that the FBI came knocking on that door and tapped those phone wires and eventually caused the end of the Will Wade era. Some people aren't. I am. I'm pulling with everything I got for Matt McMahon, including tonight against Georgia. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I really enjoyed the time that Will Wade was here. And if strong ass offers never recorded on tape, he's still the coach here for sure. Let's see. What if an NFC South team signs Lamar? We've already kind of gone through that one. What if Beloso solidifies himself as a starter? Who does he permanently replace? I think Jared Jones is your answer there, because I don't think they're going to put Beloso at first and Morgan in left field. Now, I'm not saying that with 100% conviction. If you fast forwarded and said that Beloso is the first baseman and Morgan is left, I wouldn't say that I'm just beyond shocked. I'd be very surprised, because I think that the at-bats for Jones, the at-bats for Kling, the at-bats for Pearson are something that the staff wants to continue. And I think they want Morgan to play first and Jones to DH and Kling and Pearson to split some time in the outfield. Now, I thought there was a chance that Gavin Dugas may find his way into left field with Napolt and Merrifield playing a lot of second base. That's what I thought entering the season, but I did not, nor did really anybody, see Gavin Dugas coming out gangbusters like this and totally locking down second base, which is going to push Napolt and Merrifield out of the starting lineup when Tommy White shows up. So I do think that when you use the term permanent, I don't believe that LSU is going to have a permanent 9. I think that it will switch a little bit depending on the pitcher that they see. Where's Joe Bear? Where's Kling? Where's maybe potentially Napolt? Where's Beloso? Where's Jones? There are still going to be some rotating things game to game, and certainly as guys get hot, and then you see them get ridden out for another week, 2 weeks. But if Beloso, if Beloso becomes irreplaceable in the lineup, I think that really compromises Jared Jones at bats. That would be my answer to that. All right, I think that's it for What If Wednesday. Appreciate y'all for hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat. For Taylor for giving us those. When we come back, I'll get you ready for LSU and Lamar tonight. We'll get to football and Christian Mui in the second hour. Come back with us on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Go to the closet every day, don't you? Every morning. Some of us may have great experiences. Some of us may not be able to find anything. There's too much clutter. Can't get the light to turn on. You're flashing your phone in there to try to find something. Shoes are everywhere. If that's the case and you just want to change, One Bath and Closets can help you with it. David Duvall and his team have been in this game for 30 years. Let them come in, give you a free consultation. It doesn't cost anything to have One Bath and Closets come out there and tell you what they can do for you. And then if you decide to move forward with your customized closet product, then tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. Won't charge you to rip out the old closet. Won't charge you for the installation of the new one. Just whatever that unit costs. On the bathroom side of things, I tell you every day about the tub to shower conversions. How much different, how much more functional, how much better looking would your bathroom be if you got that tub ripped out and put in a gorgeous walk-in shower? Give David Duvall and his team a look at onebathandclosets.com. They got your testimonials. They got your pictures. You can request a quote or a consultation. It's all there at onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together,
Sandgrove, join us for the Thursday edition of Hanny Time. It is the first day of LSU spring football practice. Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com joins us, and we're full on into championship week in college basketball. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU and Lamar tonight, 6:30 first pitch from the box with basketball on at 8:30. Eagle will be carrying basketball tonight, so if you're looking for baseball, you can find it on 100.7 The Tiger. Pregame show cranks up at 6 o'clock, and at 6:30 will be your first pitch between LSU and Lamar, who's 10-2 on the season. If you missed our interview with Lamar head coach Will Davis earlier, now our number one, you can go check that out on demand, 1045ESPN.com. But I'll give you a little bit of a nugget from it. He told you that Quinn Waterhouse is going to be the starter for Lamar tonight. Big senior left-hander, 6'4", 210 from up in Iowa. He gave him a good start against Texas A&M in a game that Lamar won back on February the 21st. He threw 3 innings in that game, gave up 2 hits and 2 runs, and had a strikeout, so kind of got him off to a good start. Will said, they're not going to see Waterhouse go 6 or 7 innings tonight, but if you can get him through 3 or 4, I think that would be a good start, and you'll start to see some other guys. So as I look at Waterhouse, and Will kind of gave us a scouting report on him on the air, said, he's 86, 88, left-hander, and just kind of pitchability guy that we think can throw strikes and get us off to a good start. I don't know that Jay is going to tailor his lineup around this pitcher, because it's not like Friday night against Chase Dolander or Saturday against Hurston Waldrop or whatever, insert any SEC ace you want to, where you're expecting to see this guy potentially for 120 pitches, 7 innings. You need to have your guys that are going to get 3 bats against him in the lineup. That's not – I think Jay's going to put a lineup out there with the understanding that Waterhouse is the pitcher, but understanding also what gives him the best chance at winning the game as a whole through 9 innings. If you think that that's Cade Beloso swinging the bat the way that he is, then put him out there even though you got a left-handed pitcher. There's a chance that Cade Beloso's second at bat. There's actually a pretty good chance that Cade Beloso's second at bat's against a relief pitcher anyway, and you don't know if he's going to be right-handed or left-handed. So if you think that's the best guy, go with it. If you want to get Jared Jones, maybe a first inning at bat off this guy because he's left-handed, maybe go to Beloso later, stick him in there in the 5-hole, and you'll likely see Waterhouse. That's just the way that's going. But I don't expect any sort of wholesale lineup changes because LSU's facing a left-hander, because I just don't expect to see him throw more than 55, 60 pitches in this game. And the way that LSU swung the bat and worked counts, that could only be 3 innings at this point. So I don't know that the Waterhouse hand tip is something that would indicate to me that LSU's going to go with some lineup headed in that direction. As far as pitching goes for LSU tonight, we understand that Riley Cooper did not pitch all weekend. I would imagine you'll see him in some capacity tonight. Christian Little has not been used a ton over the last week, so that's a guy that you're going to see tonight, maybe earlier than later, quite frankly. I think that is those 2 guys. I would be surprised if you didn't see them. And you don't have an SEC game this weekend, so it's not like you're saving folks for Friday. LSU will go out there and attempt to win this game. It's interesting because LSU's had a couple of opponents in Texas and now Lamar that I think, quite frankly, are significantly better than some of their non-conference opponents that they've played. Lamar is just better than Butler and Central Connecticut State. So I think LSU will throw their A bullpen bullets tonight, and we'll see them, I think, early and often. And you'll try to get a win over Lamar team. It's playing great baseball. Really enjoyed our chat with Will a little bit earlier. So, again, that's first pitch is at 6:30 tonight. 10-2 Lamar against 11-1 LSU. Nice high-profile weekend, midweek game for LSU and the Cardinals. It's a big one for Lamar for kind of raising the the profile of their program, even though they're going to have to take care of their business in conference. For LSU, just a chance to improve as we get through this slog. I've said this now for 3 days. This is the worst time of the baseball calendar for me, because you've got SEC play that you can kind of see, but you can't reach out and touch it yet. You still got a week and a half to go. And the newness of everything's kind of worn off. So you're like, all right, we got another one tonight, okay. When's the A&M game? I don't think the players are quite there just yet. They're just going to go out there and give it a shot. But as people that are covering it and folks that are talking about it, and as you, the listener, it's a slog. I mean, I'm not going to tell you much about Samford this weekend. They're probably not very good. That's the reality of it. Lamar is pretty good, even though they haven't swung the bat at an elite level. They have pitched it and played defense, so excited to see what LSU can do tonight. It's a little bit of you may not call it an appetizer. The baseball game may be like dessert. The basketball game may be like dessert to the main course that is the baseball game. But LSU baseball at 6:30 tonight. Basketball tips out somewhere around 8:30 in Nashville, depending on when the early game goes. That's hour one here on a Wednesday. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube. It is all right there. When we come back, we're going to get to some football. I know y'all love it. I know y'all want it. We're talking offensive line. We're talking wide receivers. Then at 2:30, we'll get to Chris Demouy, former Tiger left-hander. Come back with his After Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Ram 1500s. 2022 Ram 1500 trucks on our lot now with $10,000 off MSRP. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Moon Grove Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. After being given the non-exclusive franchise tag by the Ravens, quarterback Lamar Jackson's now free to negotiate with teams. There are some organizations who quickly, publicly announce that they'll pass when it comes to a chance at the former NFL MVP. Among them, the Commanders, Falcons, Dolphins, and Panthers. That doesn't sit well with ESPN's Ryan Clark.
This man is one of the top quarterbacks in the league. This man is one of the best athletes in the league. This man is a leader, which is why all those dudes in the locker room are coming out in support of him. So all these teams that are all of a sudden publicly out of the Lamar chase, just tell me you're colluding without telling me you're colluding.
Ryan Clark on First Take. The Ravens have the right to match any offer sheet that Jackson signs. If not, they will receive 2 first-round picks as compensation from the team he winds up with. NBA, big night in Phoenix tonight as Kevin Durant will make his Suns' home debut versus the Thunder. Phoenix with Durant in the lineup is 3-0 so far, and KD and Devin Booker have combined for 188 points in those 3 games together.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Now, Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Half the work week in the rearview mirror. It's Wednesday afternoon here in the capital city. Busy day here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Had Will Davis in the first hour, Lamar and LSU at 6:30, LSU Hoops at 8:30 tonight in the SEC tournament. It is win or pack it in for Matt McMahon's squad the rest of the way. But outside of those 2 sports, there's still more going on in LSU world. Spring football cranking up tomorrow morning, 7:55 a.m. The gaggle of media will be out there. We'll be watching them run around cones. We'll be watching them high knees, maybe tackle a dummy here or there. There will be some whistles involved, maybe a helmet or 2. It'll be quite the scene out there on the Ponderosa tomorrow morning. But I wanted to kind of get you ready for it a little bit, just kind of refreshing with the roster and the depth chart, because quite frankly, and I said this yesterday, like I need it. I need to look over things because I couldn't come up with it perfectly at this point in the calendar. Once they beat Purdue, guys transfer out, transfer portal kind of closes up, even though there was one that added yesterday. I pretty much slammed the door on it. I was like, all right, I'm going to basketball and baseball. I'll see you with this when the spring happens. And I think most people are not like me in that regard. They want to lock in and be aware of the football program all the time. But I gotta close that book every once in a while. Just being honest with you. But I can open it right now, and I did yesterday. I sat there and chatted with Matt in the stairwell earlier this morning about who started at what spot on the offensive line last year. Sometimes it comes and goes. But this LSU offensive line, as I go through it, looks to be in pretty good shape. I think they might be 1 or 2 short on depth, but as far as front end goes, I think the line looks to be pretty good. And that's something we said immediately when Brian Kelly took over the job here at LSU. Said, look, he's got some reputations in college football, and one of them is that he hires good people. Most of the people that Brian Kelly hire elevate themselves or prove themselves worthy to stick around for a good period of time. And the other thing is they've had great offensive lines and tight ends at Notre Dame. And that went back to Cincinnati as well. So you figured, and look, Brian Kelly said this in his introductory press conference, I remember it. He said, a lot of really good offensive linemen. How? So we have a profile, and we identify players that meet that profile, and we bring them in, and they have a course that they usually run, and we feel like we can kind of keep that pipeline open. And it was easy to go back into the Mike McGlincheys and all the guys he brought in at Notre Dame that became first-round picks, and there were a lot of them. Quentin Nelson, and I mean, he had a lot of great offensive linemen. And most of them were tall and lean and filled out over time and kind of asserted themselves in their second year in the program and became All-American type players. That's been kind of the MO. And last year kind of bucked that in a way, but it was out of necessity, where you brought in two highly thought of, lean, physical offensive linemen. They just didn't have the luxury of taking a year to fill out and develop because they had to play now. And that became apparent really early with Will Campbell in spring football last year that he was going to be the left tackle, and they were going to fill in the blanks from there. And then after one game, Emory Jones was plugged in at right tackle, and they said, okay, that's what we got to do. So you come back with your bookends at tackle, which is absolutely vital in an offensive line. You got Will Campbell at left tackle. You got Emory Jones at right tackle. Miles Frazier comes back after a really strong first year in Baton Rouge. Charles Turner started 12 games last year at center. Had to make that move after the Florida State game just didn't go very well. You've got Garrett Dellinger, who started 6 games, played in 9, dealt with some injuries, but played center, played guard. You lose Bradford, but Marlon Martinez is back as well. So you feel like if you go from left to right, you've got Will Campbell, you got Miles Frazier, you've got Charles Turner, and then you've got Garrett Dellinger and Emory Jones. That's a pretty good start to an offensive line with Marlon Martinez coming back as a swingman. He played in 12 games last year, made 1 start against UAB. And that may not be set in stone for the Florida State game moving forward, but you feel like that's a pretty good start. Could Charles Turner get beat out? Sure. We thought that last year too. Turned out he was the guy that needed to be in there. But that's a pretty good first 6 to start with. And then you realize that this is what I'm saying. The depth is not quite where you thought it might be because the transfers out were significant for the depth. Not the front end, but for the depth. Marcus Dumerville went to Maryland. Xavier Hill went to Memphis. Cardell Thomas decided to transfer. Cam Wire went to Tulane. Tremont Shorts lost his eligibility. Well, that's 5 guys right there who were on this roster last year that aren't there now. So you look to your signing class, and you really like it from an offensive line perspective. So Lance Hurd is as good an offensive lineman as there was in the class last year. And I think because of what we saw last year with Will Campbell and Emory Jones coming in and being impact, really good players as true freshmen, the urge you would have is to say, all right, well, obviously Lance Hurd will be in there at guard game 1. That's aggressive. I'm not suggesting it's impossible. It's far from it. I would bet against it. You don't want to make your living plugging offensive linemen in right out of the chute. You don't. What I just tell you about Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, most of those guys asserted themselves in their second year. That's if you've got the thing running the way that it should. I think LSU's close to that. So, do I think Zalance Hurd is a better pro prospect than Garrett Dellinger or Charles Turner or Marlon Martinez? I do. Do I think it's a great thing for LSU if he's got to be plugged in immediately? I don't know if it's a great thing for him. We'll see. But you made a move yesterday that helps your depth, which was really vital and not something, as I mentioned, that I've thought about a ton. And you added Mason Lunsford from Maryland. He started 26 games at Maryland at guard positions. 6'5", 305, and a seasoned Big Ten player. God, it's still weird for me all these years later to call Maryland in the Big Ten. It's just not where my brain goes. There's still Juan Dixon and Steve Blake playing in the ACC. Not the case anymore. 26 games in the Big Ten. That's a guy who absolutely can step in and play. I feel, in fact, even though maybe some draft boards or transfer portal analysts or whatever would suggest that Miles Frazier was more ready than Mason Lunsford to help LSU upon arrival. When I consider where Miles Frazier comes from, and then I consider where Mason Lunsford comes from, I'm almost more comfortable with the fact that this guy's coming from the Big Ten. So I think he absolutely can help you. So he and Zalance Hurd, you figure, shuffle into the depth and add there. Beau Bordelon has been on campus. He's a big kid, 6'6". And I'm told, well, I'm not told. I shouldn't even say that. I went on the On3 message board yesterday, and Shea Dixon, as he does daily over there at On3 on the Bengal Tiger, said, word is Beau Bordelon is going to work at center. They think that they like his physicality there, and they like his intelligence and his ability to process the information necessary to set protections, and they're going to work him at center a little bit, and probably not a guy who's going to be your starting center this year. Maybe not even your backup center next year, but Charles Turner's going to move on, Garrett Dellinger's going to move on, and you're going to need centers. And Beau Bordelon's going to work there starting here in the spring. So I think that's an important development in the spring. And it's usually things like that in the spring. It's not like, everybody wants to talk about the quarterback competition. Well, Brian Kelly said yesterday it would take a lot of regression from Jaden Daniels and a monster upside from Nussmeier to reshuffle that. It's more about finding the guy a new home, new position, reacclimating somebody to something, installing a system, that kind of stuff in the spring. And so Beau Bordelon's going to move. Then you bring in, as well in this signing class with Hurd, DJ Chester, Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, all fit the lean, athletic profile of guys that need to fill out, and I don't know that they're immediately ready to help you, but they do add to the depth of the room and the youth in the room. So you figure Will Campbell, Miles Frazier, Charles Turner, Garrett Dellinger, Marlon Martinez, Emory Jones, Zalance Hurd, Mason Lunsford. That's 8 guys that you feel like can help you right out of the chute. I think that's a good number, not a great number. I don't mean to discount Bordelon, Chester, Adams, Mabenga. They're certainly on the team, and we saw freshmen help you last year. But I'd rather have 10, but 8 is okay. You're not going to go through a regular football season and keep 5 guys healthy. That's just almost impossible. So you're going to need that depth to step in. I feel like compared to what Brad Davis inherited 2 years ago, this is a dream situation. He's done an awesome job recruiting, developing, and they're in a much better spot than they were when he took over 2 years ago. But because of the transfer portal and the amount of guys that 5 guys leave, and only one was because of eligibility, you got to backfill with some younger players. So that's just kind of the way it goes. But spring's for developing. We'll see. LSU spring football cranks up tomorrow, 7:55 in the Mernon, and we'll be there. And we'll certainly have a recap of it on our show tomorrow at 1 o'clock. When we come back, let's talk some wide receivers. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Electricity is all around us, and our families.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We preview a busy night as LSU baseball is back at the box. The Tigers open up the SEC basketball tournament, and the Pels play the Mavs. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Talked a little offensive line there in the last segment. Going to move a little outside now to the wide receivers. A lot of turnover out at wide receiver, and maybe more than we would have expected when you found out that Kayshon Boutte was going to come back. Then Jack Besh leaves. Kayshon decides he's going to move on to the NFL draft, and so you are going to have some new faces out at wide receiver. One is obviously Malik Neighbors, who had a 1,000-yard season in year 2 under in Baton Rouge last year and really emerged as the go-to guy in the offense. And, obviously Neighbors had the bump in with the law there at Mardi Gras, was arrested and booked, didn't have to post bond, charges not going to be pressed. Kind of moving forward a little bit, and Brian Kelly did allude to the media yesterday that there will be no disciplinary action from Malik Neighbors on the field in terms of game time. Internal discipline may involve some stairs at rather early hours in the morning, may involve bear crawls or sprints or whatever the discipline may be, but it will not be against Florida State in the first quarter. So Malik Neighbors comes back as your number 1 wide receiver. Brian Thomas returns, and I really liked Brian Thomas's year last year. Of course, he makes a really athletic catch in the end zone against Florida, which was a great play. Showed the insane athletic ability he has with that frame. And I kept continuing to say, hey, you gotta give him a chance to go make a play. You got to take your shots. And that's what we were talking about with Jaden Daniels all fall last year. It's like, man, give these guys a chance to go up there and get on top of some defensive backs. And that's a skill set I want to see unlocked more with Brian Thomas this year. I think he's going to have an excellent year. Kyron Lacey is back. I thought he had a nice year for LSU last year. The drops late in the season were a little bit concerning. Had those against A&M, had a couple. And so we'll see what the future holds for him. But he's got a good frame and fairly athletic. Not a guy you necessarily think of as your number one wide receiver, but does have some depth to the room. Chris Hilton is a guy that I'd really like to see in the spring, and I will be very candid. I don't know what his status is right now for the spring. He could be 100% ready to go. He could not be and still be dealing with the injury stuff that held him out last season. We'll see when we get out there, I guess. I don't know. But that's a guy that's got unbelievable speed. If you go back to the last play of the Texas Bowl a couple years ago, John Trey hit him for a long touchdown. You can see the speed that Chris Hilton has. Very obvious, and it's a great skill set that I'd like to see used. There's some Trey Palmer in there, and you saw just the impact Trey Palmer had on Nebraska last year because of speed. Speed is such a just incredibly valuable tool, and Chris Hilton has a lot of it, so I'd love to see some of that from him moving forward. Aaron Anderson will be out during the spring. He comes in from Tuscaloosa, and it's a guy that has tons of speed, change of direction, all that jazz, but he's got some injury concerns, which quite frankly concern me a little bit because of what you dealt with in Tuscaloosa and now coming back and dealing with it again in the spring. But they're trying to do everything they can to make sure that he's ready to go in the summer and certainly in the fall. So he's going to sit out the spring, so won't see any Aaron Anderson out there this week. Landon Ibieta coming in for his second year here. Slot guy that hasn't gotten a ton of run, played a little bit against Purdue in that game. We'll see how much they want to use him, and maybe he factors in the return game as well as a really shifty guy who may be able to help you catch the football on punts, job one, then maybe make a play, which LSU wasn't able to do much of either of those last year, so we'll see what Ibieta can do. The only early enrollee from a loaded wide receiver class is Jaylen Brown, and I mentioned Trey Palmer with Chris Hilton. I'm curious to see what Jaylen Brown looks like because we know from his recruiting pedigree that he is an elite speed guy. Just absolutely can take the top off of it at any time. That's his number one skill set. My question is just how big and filled out is he? Can you tell that he's a freshman? Does he look like a guy who's filled out? You used to almost always be able to tell who the freshmen are when you walked out there for the first practice in August. Now, with high school strength and conditioning programs and everything that goes into all that, more often than not, they're fairly ready when they show up. But Jaylen Brown's a speed guy. Want to see him. Shelton Sampson and Kyle Parker will join the party here in the summer, and they'll round out that really loaded wide receiver class that Brian Kelly and his staff inked in the class of 2023. But Jaylen Brown will be the only one out there. So when I look at this, it looks very good. Neighbors and Thomas are a fantastic 1-2, no question about it. The skill sets that Chris Hilton and Aaron Anderson have when healthy are incredibly dynamic, and I want to see that as well. Not sure we will, whether that's in the spring or in the fall, because injuries are injuries, and you just never know what's going to happen on the rebound. But I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys can give you. And then with Brown, Sampson, Parker to toss in with Lacey and Ibieta, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. A wide receiver, that's plenty. And we've shown guys have broken onto the scene as freshman wide receivers. We saw Malik Neighbors do it a couple of years ago. We saw Kayshon Boutte do it in the COVID year. We saw what Jamar Chase did in his first year, which wasn't necessarily as productive as it turned out to be in the next year. But he did come on and make some impressive plays as a young player. Jack Besh had a really good freshman year as a wide receiver as well. So wide receiver is absolutely a spot that you can come in and make an impact. So what Jaylen Brown's able to get accomplished this spring may really lend him to be a guy that they can use in the fall, because Neighbors and Thomas are plenty fast. And Neighbors showed a gear I didn't quite frankly know he had in the Purdue game. But Brown and Hilton, and really even Anderson, that's their game, is the speed game. And I'm curious to see if that's in the jet sweep action, maybe some screen game, or just hey, fly route, 9 route, go. You got Neighbors and Thomas that are complete packages. You've got some speed guys. You've got some youth. You've got some quick, shifty guys, Ibieta, Anderson, Hilton, Brown, Parker's in that mold as well. And then you got the physical freak in Sampson that's got the length and the range and kind of the comps to Terrace Marshall that you would make with all that goes into that. So it's an exciting room for sure, and one that I think should be able to show off its ability. I think that Jaden Daniels can get the ball out to him. I think that Garrett Nussmeier can get the ball out to him. And I think that LSU should be able to utilize this great wide receiver room. How many times did you look at wide receiver rooms in the mid-2000s and go, yeah, you got that 5-star, you got this 4-star, looks really good. Man, that guy's coming back after a big year. Can we get him the ball? How you get I don't think that's necessarily the case. There are going to be some of you that are out there that are thinking about, Jaden Daniels going to wait. He holds on to the ball too long, doesn't get it out. I hear you. I'm not necessarily on your page. I don't think he'll get rid of the football. I think he'll throw it well. I thought he looked really good doing that in the Georgia game until he got hurt and had to come out of it. So excited about the wide receiver room. I think it is, again, probably the place where they need to tailor their offense toward it, because the running back room to me is a little it's certainly got numbers, but you just don't have the elite proven back that LSU had for such a long run. And now you've kind of been searching for that next guy. And TDP had one really good afternoon in Tiger Stadium, but since you walked on the field against Clemson, that's really the only game you got to show for with a sensational running game. So I think the wide receivers are going to be the focal point of the offense once again. It's a pretty good group to start as your focal point, I would say. I'm excited about what those guys can bring. Take a timeout. First of all, before we take a timeout, I need to take a sip of water because my throat is exceptionally scratchy, and we're just going to do this right now. Wonderful radio for all of you people there, but that makes me feel a lot better, so we can get to this transition and move into the next segment. So apologies, but that just needed to happen. Chris Namu is going to join us, former Tiger national champion, Southpaw. He of the 60 feet 6 inches LSU baseball podcast. He's with us each and every Wednesday. Join us to talk about what we saw over the weekend and 4 absolute blowouts, and what he thinks about LSU tonight in the Lamar game. What does he want to see? What does he want to see from the mound? A lot of things to get to with the movie, so looking forward to that. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, for Game Time, live from Snow's Seafood and Steak, Airline Highway at Highway 74 in Gonzales. 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday, got a bunch of guests giving out picks. Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I was just scrolling through my phone on Twitter, saw a highlight of my second baseman, Nico Horner, going back in the shallow center, making an exceptional play over in spring training. The Cubs might not lose a game all year. Taylor laughed when I just said that. It's 162-0. Prove me wrong. Bring on Chris Demui of the 60 feet, 6 inches LSU baseball pod, former Tiger national champion. You got a major league team, Demui?
I grew up watching the Dodgers because I loved Fernando Valenzuela, lefty.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Braves a little bit growing up. But then I just kind of in college moved more towards the Red Sox. I just liked watching their pitchers throw. So I guess Red Sox. I don't know. Now I really don't watch a whole lot of big league baseball. So
kind of a flavor of the week type deal. I am going out to L.A. here next month to watch the Cubs and Dodgers, so very excited for that. But we got a lot to get to here with Chris as we talk Tigers. They won 4 games over the weekend. All were blowouts, but the first one got off to a little bit of a rocky start offensively. Were you frustrated watching the sauce toss and Lessie tie LSU in knots?
Very much so, yeah. I was sitting with my son on the couch, and I felt like I was calling his pitches. You know, it's easy, not easy, but as a pitcher, you kind of have an idea what he's going to throw, and as a hitter, they can't really think like that. But, I mean, he must have thrown 85% changeups. He wasn't afraid to flip in a 3-0 changeup, but obviously that's coming in at 70, and then he throws a fastball 80 to 85, and I'm sure it looks a lot harder than that. But I knew eventually they would get around to getting to him. He would leave a changeup up, or he just didn't really have great control. And it took a little longer than I thought, but eventually they got to him and put the game away. But, yeah, I was frustrated probably just like everybody else in Baton Rouge.
I try to keep the pulse of the LSU fan base a little bit to kind of tailor my conversation toward it, what people are interested in, what they're talking about. Are you more concerned with the strikeouts, the batting average versus left-handed pitchers, neither, both?
I wouldn't say the lefties as of yet. Now, they're going to see some good lefties in conference, especially Hagen Smith from Arkansas on that Friday night. But I was frustrated with the strikeouts last week. I mean, I know LeBaron Johnson from Texas here, and it was just that game was full of strikeouts, right? I think 16. But you saw them make adjustments. Now, I know the competition wasn't great this weekend, but in the end, you do what you have to do against the teams you're playing against. And I think they walked 27 times and struck out 23 times, and that was after 11. on Friday night. I believe my numbers are correct. So they made a lot of adjustments. And I thought you saw some guys having some really dialed-in at-bats. I thought Paxton Kling looked great in some of his at-bats. Brady Neals looked really good. And then to me, I think Cruz is fabulous with 2 strikes. I don't know how many hits he's gotten with 2 strikes this year, but he looks even more locked in with 2 strikes than I've seen him before. So I think the strikeouts, it was frustrating those 4 games, but I know they're going to happen. It just seemed like it was the frequency at which they were happening was a little frustrating to me.
Where do you come in on the Jared Jones, Cade Beloso situation as we sit here today on Wednesday? You got a precocious freshman, great power, scuffling a little bit. You got a 5th-year senior. The upside's not quite there, but he's swinging the bat pretty well through a couple of games. Where do you land there?
I think I would probably just ride the hot hand, you know, and then obviously look to get Jones in maybe later in the games. You know, if the games are little, just get him in at bat against somebody to boost his confidence some. It looked like he was scuffling when the rest of the lineup was rolling, and then Beloso comes in, and he's an experienced guy. And in the fall and the spring, every time I saw him, he just found a way to get on base. A lot of walks in some of those scrimmages, sack flies. He's just going to do whatever it takes to produce, and he's swinging the hot bat right now. So I think it's just one of those things, and I'm sure they've had conversations with Jared Jones to say, look, we're just going to give you a breather right now. Cade's swinging it well, and your time's definitely going to come back around at some point, you know?
I asked this question to Glenn West yesterday, and I've kind of gotten a few people's opinion on it. What's the role for Josh Pearson on this team?
I don't know. You know, that's a good question because it seems like I don't know, passed up that is maybe a little harsh. It just seems like he's struggling at the plate, the few opportunities he's gotten, and it may be as a late inning defensive replacement right now for Joe Bear if he's out there in the outfield. Obviously, I'd rather have Pearson late in the games to play defense, and maybe Paxton Kling has asserted himself in right field with the weekend he just had and with his physical tools. And obviously, he can play defense right next to Cruz out there, and they can go get it with the best of them. So I think, and then I don't think Pearson's going to play, and you just hope he kind of comes around with the bat and makes the most of his opportunities. And it's probably going to be versus right-handed pitching whenever those situations present himself. You know, he's an experienced bat coming off the bench late in the game if they need a pinch hit, you know, RBI or a sacrifice fly or something like that. But right now it's probably a little tough going for him.
Chris Tamui, former Tiger Southpaw, host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches podcast, our guest every Wednesday at 2:30. All right, let's transition to the arms. I made a pretty big deal out of Thatcher Hurd's start on yesterday's show. I thought it was remarkable and gave me a different feeling about the entire team as a whole if he can start to bottle that up. What did you as a pitcher see from Thatcher Hurd on Monday night?
I'm right there with you, and I think you should make a big deal out of it. To me, it was phenomenal. I think that's the number 7th-ranked transfer portal kid. That's the guy, when you look at his stats at UCLA, who absolutely carved up the competition out there before he got hurt. And to me, he was phenomenal. You know, he was 94 to 96 his whole outing with his fastball. And his slider is very him and Christian Little have a very similar slider, right? It's 88 to 90. It's very hard. He flashed a little bit of a changeup. He also has an overhand breaking ball. And I was just impressed with, one, his efficiency with 11 strikeouts and just the amount of pitches he threw. I think, 73 or 74 pitches in those 6 innings. And he just pounded his own and challenged those hitters. Even after LSU scored 6 in that big inning, he just went out there and got 3 fly balls, I think, in 6 pitches. So to me, that's what I assumed he was going to look like and what I had seen him look like in some scrimmages. So it was just nice to see him put it all together in that outing. And it's just his job now to build upon that success. And I think that's who he was last year. You just saw him struggle early on with just some of his fastball command. And it's one of those things as a pitcher, if you're struggling with your mechanics and your confidence goes down, then your ability to attack the zone flies along with that. And what you saw on Monday night was just total confidence in everything. He was challenging everybody, and he felt great with all 3 or 4 of his pitches. So I was truly impressed.
I'll tell you what I liked was he looked a little uncomfortable against Southern. Obviously, he walked some guys early and gave up some hits, and you probably think you're going to mow these guys down, and he didn't. On Monday, he's bouncing off the mound. He's strutting a little bit after strikes. I mean, you can tell when a pitcher has found the groove, and the mannerisms, not even mid-pitch, to me, showed me what he felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's one of those things where you think you know what you have in the bullpen, but until you get on the mound and probably, striking out 6 in a row to start a game will do that to a kid, right? I would feel very confident too, but you strike out the first 2, and he probably knows, and like, I feel good tonight, and everything in terms of my release point on all of my pitches feels locked in. So then you're going to start to exude that confidence at the mound with his body language. And I'm sure his teammates could feel it too in the dugout. He probably looked like a different kid. He's probably having more fun, actually. And it's just a big circle, right? You're having fun, you have confidence, you're having success, and it all just flows. And he was just, he was in the zone the other night.
Do you think there's a part of him, maybe a big part of him, in the third inning, or the second inning, I guess, when they scored 7, said, hey, guys, just chill out and get out. I need to get back on the mound?
I've been there, so yeah. You're like, that's good. Like, I would love for y'all to keep hitting. It's one of those things where you want to stay loose, you want to stay warm, but you also want to get back out there.
Yeah.
Right? So, anytime an inning creeps up into 20, 30 minutes at times, you're ready to kind of get back out there, go play catch in the bullpen. I always like to stay loose. Some guys could sit there for 30 minutes and they'd be good to go and not really have to move around much. But, yeah, I mean, I want to get back. The run support is awesome, but I want to get back out there and pitch as soon as possible. But I'll definitely take the run, though. I'll take the run.
7 spot, not a bad thing for a pitcher. Put your Jay Johnson hat on. You got one more dress rehearsal before SEC play. Who are your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday pitchers this weekend?
Man, I just feel like I'm going to be wrong no matter what I say. As many times I'd be wrong with Johnson this year, predicting his pitching lineup. I mean, I'm going Skeens, Floyd, Hurd. That's what I'm doing. Skeens on Friday, Floyd on Saturday, and then Hurd on Sunday. When you get into SEC play, I would move Chase Shores to the midweek, and then go from there.
That's what I would do too. I would have Chase Shores try to throw 4 innings every single Tuesday. That's how I would use it. And if you feel like you really need him on a Saturday or Sunday, or there's an extra inning game, or there's something, and you've used some of your other guys and you really need him, then you can go to him there. I don't need you to throw him 125 pitches on Tuesdays, but I do think there's value in a 4th starting pitcher. I'm with you on the first 3, and I would bump him to the midweek.
Yeah, I think a midweek's a great place for him to continue to build his confidence, cut his teeth, get more consistency with his secondary pitches. To me, that's been a little bit lacking, and maybe that's why you've seen some guys have really good swings against his upper 90s fastball, and just let him maybe, dial his control in a little bit. And I think you're still facing good teams in the midweek. It's not like they're facing scrubs, right? These are really good teams. Lamar is, they're kind of a typical 3 seed in a regional.
Yep.
And the other teams we face this year, I know Tulane's really down this year. They're having a rough go of it. But UL's good. Obviously, they brought in Tech before, who's really good. But I think that's the perfect place for him. Yeah, just for him to relax as a freshman and say, look, you got 4 innings, 5 maybe, depending on your pitch count. We got plenty of bullpen to back you up. Just go out there, let it hang out, and just relax and go, just continue to build his confidence.
I know that you cover a lot of the SEC on the podcast, so I'll just kind of throw it out there open-ended. Give me something you've observed through 3 weeks of Southeastern Conference baseball, maybe that surprised you, disappointed you. You go take it anywhere.
I would say the biggest thing, if you're looking at the conference from a whole, that surprised me, because I looked over some stats kind of this past weekend. The conference as a whole, they are absolutely raking.
Yeah.
Meaning everybody in the conference seems like they can absolutely hit. Every team. Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida is just crushing teams right now. Georgia. So on the flip side, though, the pitching has been rough. When you look at some of these scores, especially even in the midweek games, right? Florida gives up 11 to Florida Atlantic, I think, last night. State has been scuffling. Their defense and their pitching are not very good.
Nope.
Texas A&M has not been good on the mound either. So it's been Arkansas has been beset with pitching injuries, with starters in their ace in the bullpen, Tygart going down. So to me, it's been the conference as a whole can absolutely hit, but they're not pitching very well. So I think that bodes well for teams with really good arms. Obviously Tennessee, but then you look at the development of the LSU staff, and they can hit too. But you look at some of the pitching numbers LSU's put up recently, and I think you have to feel really confident going into conference play just to see what you're going up against in terms of other teams' pitchers scuffling right now.
This time next week, we're talking Tigers and Aggies. Mooey, thanks.
All right, appreciate it, Hunt. Thank you.
He's Chris Mooey, host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU Baseball Podcast, and also former Tiger Southpaw and national champion with us every single Wednesday. Always enjoy those chats. Come back with us. We'll close things out. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. And all March long, we're telling you about Trey Godfrey. Trey, currently the Senior Vice President for Policy for the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. And in his work at BRAC, he oversees education policy, among a lot of other things, and it allows him to make an impact from a more systemic perspective. One of Trey's passions is mentorship and education, and something he takes very seriously here with the youth here in Baton Rouge, and that's why he's a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, well, it's a person, nonprofit, maybe it's a company, let us know about them. Go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate them to be a champion of Louisiana. That's what LWCC is giving us this platform to do, is to talk about people making a transformational change in our great state. And Trey Godfrey certainly fits that bill. Trey Godfrey is March's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks.
It's the latest from the Louisiana High School Boys Basketball State Tournament as 3-seed Catholic High takes on 2-seed St. Thomas More in the Select Division I semifinal this Wednesday at 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And started thinking about tomorrow's show. Not going to be difficult to find topics to talk about tomorrow. Got LSU and Lamar tonight, 6:30. The box. You got LSU and Georgia tonight, 8:30 in Nashville. Spring practice starts tomorrow. We got Joe Healy of D1 Baseball talking SEC baseball. That's 5 segments right there. It's 8 in the show. So I think we're in good shape for content tomorrow. Y'all be sure to come hang out with us from 1 to 3. We'll be out there at the Ponderosa for 8 o'clock practice tomorrow morning. We'll be out there for 20 minutes, take some notes, come on back and give you a full recap of what we were able to see on the Hunt Palmer Show. One more order of business here on this Wednesday. Let's take it or leave it.
Yeah, now, Hunt, you may not be aware of this, but I get picked on in this building a lot for being a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yes, I'm aware.
Well, now we're going to pick on our NFC counterparts, and Casey Gaines's team, the New York Giants, gave Daniel Jones yesterday a 4-year, $160 million deal. How about $40 million a year? The Giants made the right decision. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, he was fine this year. He was fine. I think in my opinion, there's probably a higher opinion of him. Look, so let me go back. Fans probably think he's terrible because he was not very good his first couple of years. And the people who watch a ton of film think he was really good this year. Just had no weapons. I'm probably in the middle of that. I think he's just fine. And it's hard to find a good quarterback. And if you think there's a chance he might be your guy, I understand paying the man. But, man, 160 over 4 years. I keep hearing the people chirping going, no, these are going to be cheap deals in 3 years because Burrow and Herbert are going to set the market, and then you're not going to be really paying that much more than everybody else. And maybe that's the case. Those people are smarter than me, but it's hard for me to get a ton of excitement going when I realize that I got Daniel Jones for the next 4 years. That just doesn't do a ton for me. So, whatever.
Justin Thomas says that the difference between Live Golf's limited field, no-cut events and the PGA Tours is that ours have an astronomically higher amount of quality players. Take it or leave it.
We'll have to take it. Charles Howell III won there last week over Peter Uihlein. That's not great. And I've got his hunch that the winner of the Players this weekend probably won't be of the same ilk of Charles Howell III or Peter Uihlein or 68-year-old Phil Mickelson or crippled Brooks or Bryson, who can't shoot under 80 anymore. And I just won't be Poulter, who's 104, or Westwood. It's just, they stink. The Liv's awful. And PGA Tour, I'm just waiting for Liv to dissolve, which hopefully will happen at some point soon.
All right, I asked you this yesterday.
You did?
Rethink it.
Okay.
World Baseball Classic, take it or leave it.
I have rethought it, thanks to a tweet that was sent to me by Stephen Miller on Twitter. I didn't look up who's on Team USA's roster. Had no idea. I had seen some rumbling on Twitter that people weren't necessarily excited about their players going to play. Team USA's got Mike Trout. They got Nolan Arenado. They got Kyle Schwarber. They got some dudes. Let's see as this hype video keeps unfolding. Let's see there's Trout taking BP. There's Trey Turner, Justin Tucker, Pete Alonso. I mean, those are dudes. I mean, Alonso's a home run king. Schwarber's a home run king. Arenado's been a Gold Glover and an MVP candidate for years. Trout's the best player in the world for a number of years. That's a pretty stout lineup. Now, I realize that Adam Wainwright is apparently pitching for us in the opener, so that's not really encouraging from a pitching perspective, but that's the deal. Like, teams don't want their pitchers out there in early March throwing high leverage innings against Japan and Puerto Rico. That's just not what they want for their organization. So that's where you take a step back. But the position players are pretty good.
All right, with the Pelicans sitting on the 10 line, right on the edge of the play-in, their next 4 games will determine their entire season. Take it or leave it.
Man, I'll leave it because I hate the term must win because I think people overuse it all the time. Like, the Pelicans could literally lose all 4 of these games and win all the rest of them. Like, that literally could happen. I would bet a lot of money against it, but you can't suggest that it's a must-win if it's not, in fact, a must-win. LSU basketball tonight, must win. They must win, or else their season's over. This is a huge stretch for the Pels, though. I don't want to undersell that. They got Dallas tonight at home. They got Oklahoma City at home. They got Portland at home, and they got Los Angeles at home. Solid teams to good teams. On your home floor, you've got to take care of business. If they can win 3 of 4 on their home floor, which is asking a lot, but if they can win 3 of 4 on their home floor, you got 2 coming up at Houston, who's awful. You got San Antonio, who's not good. You got Charlotte, who's not good. Those 2 are at home. You can turn things around if you can win 3 of the next 4, and then go take care of your business against the bad teams before you go to LA and to Portland and to Golden State and to Denver at another stretch. So it's not a make or break, but it is. You're running out of time here. And old Wendy on a podcast earlier this morning said that Zion Williamson's not close to coming back. Charlie called that immediately, said he's not going to play again. He very well might not play again this year. But this iteration of the Pels, they need to start taking care of their business. Probably starts tonight against Dallas. That'll do it for our show today. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. We previewed LSU in Georgia. Will Davis from Lamar at 1:15. Some What If Wednesday content. Offensive line, wide receiver on spring football, and Chris Demouy as well. Excited for tomorrow's show. Excited for all the action tonight. Matt's coming up next one after further review. We'll see you tomorrow 1 to 3 on the Hunt Palmer Show.